Alrighty. It is getting to be that time again. Yes, yes, yes. We are live. We are live. That's what we got going on. Hey, we are live and we are rocking a, can I get that in there? Can you take a look at that without spelling it? I think so. Did a little bit of a hazelnut coffee this morning. Espresso latte-ish drink. So, what we end up having today is some interesting information. We're going to be talking about some stuff, and I think that's what we're going to be talking about. Okay, as you can see up here, our RIK retired in Korea. We're going to talk about hair loss funding. We're going to talk about Coupang, which is kind of like the Amazon of Korea. In an interesting note, Coupang is an American company. I didn't know if you knew that, but it is, and that's causing some angst as well. Finnish Eye slant. Yeah, there's a whole thing on that, and then we're going to talk about some other stuff, and then, we'll probably take a look at the Frostmourne Sword that we have. We've got all the pieces printed out, and I don't know if that's going to be a thing. I've got another sword, as you can see right back here. That is a big one. Hey, we got George popping in. Hello, George. And so I did the Frostmourne Sword, and I thought it would be bigger. So we'll take a look at that, and compared to the other sword that we got there. But I do have to say that I did scale up that sword. But if I scaled up the Frostmourne Sword, I don't know. It's like the dimensions are off. I mean, not as far as fit and finish, but I mean, just overall, it's just, I don't know. But it's still a cool looking sword. It's going to make a real good display thing. So we got that going on. For those of you who don't know, I am Steve, the retired hobby tech guy, American expat here in Korea, live from Korea. And some people might have been wondering, why did you retire in Korea? Well, it's better than working. So I'll take early retirement over working, especially the jobs that I had. Just soul-sucking, drain the life out of you jobs, and looking at all the expenses we had in the United States, it ends up, that's the reason why we're RIK. We're retired in Korea. So some of the benefits is that, I got to retire early, which means I get to have more fun doing 3D printing and laser engraving and painting miniatures and all kinds of stuff, and enjoying a ton of Korean food, and then rocking out my own lattes. So good. And then the other thing is that the expenses were half of what we were paying in the United States. Now, again, that's all subjective because, depending on your budget and your lifestyle, your mileage may vary. So our lifestyle, our budget, the money that we had saved, and so on and so forth, we're pretty comfortable here. And we're also going to talk about something else. That is another thing. This is, this is going to be a good thing. George pops up and says, I got thinking the blade length might not be long enough to match. That's kind of what we're looking at there with the Frostmourne Sword. It's not the same, but it's still cool looking. But I wish it was bigger. I guess that's what they say. It's small. I thought it would be bigger. Sometimes that happens, and sometimes it happens because it's cold. But in this case, it was the modeling of the sword ends up that it didn't work out well. The other interesting thing is I want to pop up is, let me see if I can find this comment. I received a comment that we're going to talk about. And let me see, hold on here. I got to get to my dashboard, and I want to try to get to community. I want to try to get to, where is it? Because it was an interesting comment. And unresponded. No, I want all comments. Let's see. Let's see what we end up having. Okay. Comments. Where are the comments? Let's see if I can find the comments. Oh yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. This is going to be an interesting one, and we'll save this for later because it was really quite the interesting comment. So yeah, it is. It's going to be very, very interesting. Okay, we're going to talk about hair loss funding. Now, when you go to another country, things will be a little bit different. Some of the things, your finances, how you pay your bills, social norms, food, courtesies, customs, things like that. All of that could be different to some degree. And yeah, this is really different because the president of Korea, who I'm an independent, so I like ideas from the left and the right, both sides, but he's a little bit more left-leaning. And he came up with this idea that, yeah, we're going to hair loss. We're going to fund hair loss. I don't really get it. Let's just jump into this thing here because this is going to be quite the interesting little thing. Let me kind of make some of this. Little bit of room there. Okay, so there it is. Tax money for hair loss drugs. President's proposed sparks mixed reactions. So, yeah. Supporters cheer the move while critics demand priority for life-saving treatments. Yeah, this has to do with, it's not tattooing, and that doesn't look like she's a really good tattoo artist, but scalp tattoo procedure, which is an idea. The debate over public funding of hair loss treatment has intensified after President Lee Jae-myung ordered officials to review a possible expansion of health insurance coverage for the condition, describing baldness as a matter of survival. Critics, however, argue that scarce health resources should first be directed to life-threatening illnesses. Yeah, what we're talking about here is we're talking about the Korean National Health Insurance Service for the nation. For those of you who don't know, Korea is pretty interesting because they have national health care. You pay about $110 a month and boom, you're covered. It's not like the United States. It's the United States where we have Obamacare or Affordable Care Act, which is coming to a close, and everything's skyrocketing. It's going to be pretty bad. Hey, we've got Lenny. Lenny Sean says, I drink cold beer. It's too early in the morning. Well, no, it's not actually too early in the morning to drink beer. I guess you can drink beer wherever you're at. I'm just rocking a latte this morning, so cheers to you. And maybe I'll have a beer later on today. We'll see what happens. But in the United States, we have a Affordable Care Act, which for those of you who might not know about it or, I don't know, living under a rock from a different country, whatever it is, the United States doesn't have national health care. We have over 350 million people who are citizens in the United States, and then we got a bunch more that are not citizens. We don't have national health care. Obama, when he was president, said, hey, he ran on this thing, we're going to have national health care, and he came up with the Obamacare, which is a word that he copyrighted, and yeah, he got money for the word Obamacare, and there's so much corruption and everything. Anyway, it ends up that Obamacare says, hey, we're going to do this health care for U.S. citizens, and it ended up being other people as well, but it was only for like 25 or 30 million people. And it's like, well, that's like a drop in a bucket compared to the 350 million and add on another 10 or 20 million, 10 million for people that are not American citizens. With that, if you just read the small print within Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, you would find out that they kicked the can down the road, and the people that got rich are the pharmaceutical companies. The people that got rich are the insurance companies. The people that got rich are the big corporations and blah, blah, blah. Things have gone up, I mean, 200, 300, 400%, 2,800%. I mean, it is insane. And now the premiums, which, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, the premiums are going to explode and skyrocket. And it's like, well, yeah, that was in there, and people just didn't want to pay attention to the fine print. They never would have approved ACA to begin with. It's a whole mess. And now people are, with the current administration in the United States, they're like, oh, well, this is going to skyrocket. It's going to destroy the healthcare of 25 or 30 million people, whatever it is. And you need to refund it. But it's so out of control, it's not feasible. So in other words, as an independent, I'm just seeing how somebody used healthcare as a way to get elected and kick the can down the road. And who got rich? Well, just look at the lobbyists and the people that supported Obama and others who supported that. It's really bad. So anyway, I digress. It ends up, so national health care is a thing here in Korea, which I think is really good. And I don't understand why the United States can't do that. There's something like 32 or 37 other countries that have national health care. Some health care is better than others, but Korea, it's really good. And they keep the prices low. It's mandated. There's equality in pricing, and the pricing that you get for like a bag, an IV bag of Ringer lactate, is the same in Seoul as it is in Busan, as it is in a city hospital, as it is in a clinic. It's all the same price. There's this transparency that is there, so they can't do price gouging. Hospitals in the United States, they can charge whatever they want. You can go to one hospital and a bag of Ringers like $25. You can go somewhere else, it could be $500 a bag. And the prices are not set. And there was a time in the United States where you couldn't even ask for an itemization of the bill to even dispute the bill. So our medical system really needs some help. But with that, here in Korea, they have national health care. Again, it's like $110 a month. It's pretty good. And but that health care is usually for things that is like, I don't know, life-saving, regular checkups, so on and so forth, cancer treatments, and, if you get some serious diseases, normally those are the things that would be covered in the United States or, used to be in Korea. Now the president wants to do this whole thing of that, we're gonna do hair loss treatment because, like he said, it's a matter of survival. It's not survival. It's a cosmetic thing. And even then, the problem I have with this is that you're diverting taxpayer money that's going towards hair loss when that could be going for, I don't know, diabetics, people who need insulin, cancer treatments, and so on and so forth. The amount of money that is going to be spent on hair loss, preventing hair loss, or, what happens if you're genetically disposed to the point of where you're just going to lose your hair anyway? It's all for naught. For some people, they're not going to be able to regrow their hair no matter what you do, okay, unless you get a hair transplant. So really, is it really a wise choice to say, hey, we're going to do hair treatment with minoxidil and so on and so forth, and we're going to use national health insurance to do that? I don't know. Is there some type of behind the scenes deal between the president and, hair loss medication pharmaceutical companies? It makes you wonder. I'm not sure. That's the thing that pops into my head. But I don't think it's a wise use of funds of when you end up and you say, hey, it doesn't really work. I don't think it's fiscally responsible, especially when you have people that have much more serious diseases or conditions, cancer and lymphoma. And I mean, there's all kinds of things that money could be used for instead of hair loss. And it's not a matter of survival. Armelin 327 says Obama wanted a more nationwide care plan, but Republicans gutted it until it started to resemble Swiss cheese. That is absolutely true. They gutted it a lot. But still, the fact remains that even when it was first proposed, the fine print said, hey, we're kicking the can down the road. And if you look at the people that are going to be getting rich, which we are seeing now, it's the corporations, it's the insurance companies, it's the shareholders, and the people got left holding the bag. So I totally agree. The people on the left and the people on the right, they're both to blame. And that seems to be a reoccurring theme in the United States, with politics and corruption and so on and so forth. How does a politician who made next to nothing before they became a politician, and now they're making $174,000 a year, and 3 or 4 years later, all of a sudden they're worth $20 million, there's some sketchy shit going on. That's all I'm saying. And I really don't like sketchy shit. It's wrong. It's an abuse of taxpayer funds, no matter what country we're talking about. Korea, United States, Philippines, which, in case you didn't know, this is a little side rant. In the Philippines, it ends up that they're estimating that 70 to 80% of the funds used that were designated, and we're talking billions of dollars, for flood control and remediation, because when typhoons come through into the Philippines, you get massive flooding. It wipes out entire towns and villages and so on and so forth. They're finding out that 70 to 80% of that money disappeared. There's ghost projects. Ghost projects, in case you didn't know, are projects that were funded by the Philippine government, and again, at the cost of millions and billions of dollars, that were never even done, but were paid for. Say, oh yeah, we did this dam and we did this retaining wall and this, blah, blah, blah. And none of it was ever done. And they're just scratching the surface. So the Philippine people are pretty pissed. And there's a lot of corruption there. So corruption's bad. Corruption's bad. Common sense, good. Corruption, bad. That's all I'm saying. We got Ferrithus. Ferrithus pops up, says, hey, Steve, good morning. Must be really early where you are. Yeah, it's about 6:30 right now. I got up at like 4:30. Back was bothering me. For those of you, I have some injuries. I have chronic pain. And so, yeah, I can't sleep more than like 7 hours. And if I do, my back is all jacked up. So I usually get up early. It's that chronic pain alarm clock. I don't recommend it at all. So anyway, it ends up that we're talking about this hair loss thing in Korea. Critics of this, again, just talking about how supporters tax money for hair loss drugs. Again, the Korean president, that's what he wants to end up doing. And he says that it's a matter of survival. No, it's a cosmetic thing. And like I said, there's people that are genetically disposed to have hair loss. And no matter what you do, no matter what drugs you give them, it's not going to do anything. So is that really the wisest thing that we can do with taxpayer funds, is fund cosmetic surgery? My opinion is no. Currently the National Health Insurance covers only pathologic forms of hair loss, such as alopecia, on a limited basis, with age-related baldness is not eligible for reimbursement. Again, it's generally a cosmetic type of thing. So yeah, why should taxpayers have to pay for that? I can understand a national healthcare system that provides healthcare for the entire nation, like we have here in Korea. I just don't see it as being something. It could go to so many different things. For many patients, the president's remarks validate long-held belief that hair loss is not a trivial concern. If covered, it would certainly help my finances, said 40-year-old architect Kim, who has taken hair loss medication for the last 3 years. For many people, young men, losing hair means a lot more than just appearance. They often face discrimination and social pressure when they try to look for jobs or try to date. That's life. my hair is thinning. You see that little bit right there, and it just keeps, as I get older, I'm 59, as I get older, it just keeps kind of going back. It's thinning out. Kim says he pays about $135 for a 6 months supply of medication, which isn't bad, a cost he doesn't regard as unbearably high, but thinks it would be meaningful if eased if coverage expands. Daedamo, one of the largest Korean hair loss communities online, views such widely shares among members. Many people say it's not a serious illness, which is, I'm on that side of the fence. But there are so many days you feel like you want to die from depression, one member said. Even if the coverage amount or the number of prescriptions is limited, it really feels like hair loss medication might actually become eligible for insurance. I hope so. But on the other side of the coin, critics argue that expanding coverage for hair loss risks sending the wrong message or signal about priorities in a system with limited resources. Yes, I'm on that side. Kim Sung-ju, the head of Korean Severe Disease Association, you can kind of guess what side of the fence he's on, and a patient with esophageal cancer, said that while he understands the concerns, when you think about the urgency of disease, the order of priorities and fiscal limits it. President Lee's comment is somewhat disappointing. There's so many things like cancer. It's just not cancer. There's many patients with rare and intractable diseases that are suffering greatly because of the extremely high cost of their medications. These are life-threatening illnesses, and it's important to give serious consideration to how they're prioritized and how limited resources are allocated. So yeah, health authorities are also concerned that expanding the coverage to non-life-threatening condition could strain the already financial insurance fund, given the large number of people who experience hair loss. Last year, around 240,000 people received insurance support for the hair loss conditions caused by medical reasons. But the total number of people losing their hair is unclear, with some experts saying it could be in the millions. So, yeah, it is definitely kind of a thing. There's a lot of hair loss in Korea. It's definitely a thing. I live here. We see what's going on. There's a lot of commercials for, hair treatments and supplements, and most of those don't work anyway. For the toupees and all that stuff, and the microneedling and the whole 9 yards, and getting tattoos to make it look like you're not bald, but you just have your hair cut really short, so you're bald, but you got stubble. That's a thing over here. But again, it's a cosmetic thing. If you're genetically disposed to hair loss, there's no amount of drugs that's going to change that. You might get a little bit of hair. You do the minoxidil, you could do some Rogaine, you'll get some hair, but if you don't keep up with the medication, especially with minoxidil, it's going to go away. It's going to go back to what it was before. So you'll get a temporary reprieve, but it's not a life-threatening thing. Yeah, it is kind of well. Ferrith says, wow, I'm sorry. I hope you have something that helps a bit. Talking about my chronic pain. I don't. It just, I'm a candidate for spinal surgery and disc replacement in a couple of places, but the possibility of that helping or hurting more or just staying the same, the odds aren't good. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Arm Melon 327 says, maybe this is a way of boosting the birth rate. Yeah, the birth rate, because if you can't get a date because you're bald, you can't make kids, and Korea is a super age society. So maybe he's onto something. But again, it's not a life-saving, it's not something it's like, oh no. It's not like cancer. You get cancer, it's like, how many months do I have to live? Oh, and everybody's afraid of the big C word. And now it's like, yeah, I got my diagnosis. What is it? Hair loss. All right, what are we having for lunch? That's basically what we're doing. You can go to Turkey, get a hair transplant. You get hair transplants here in Korea. There's a number of things. I would just embrace it. I would just embrace the Yul Brynner look, and the thing is, if somebody of the opposite sex is so hyper focused on your appearance and not on the person on the inside, again, there needs to be a balance. You don't want somebody that's, kind of been run through the ugly blender. You want a good personality. You want, some decent looks, some average looks, and but yeah, the personality of on the inside of what comes out, that is what really makes somebody beautiful. With that being said, how many times have we seen like supermodels or celebrities, that are like drop dead gorgeous, and then they open their pie hole and they say stuff that is just like, oh my gosh, you're the most disgusting human being I've ever heard. No, the beauty level goes down. It's like, oh my gosh, there's no way. So really. And beauty is fleeting. We have to admit it. And I just started doing facial treatments here in Korea, because my wife says my skin is too dry and all that. And she does all the Korean, face stuff. She looks great. So she's doing that to me, and it's like, okay, I'll do it. But, that shouldn't be the end all be all. And when you divert taxpayer funds from actual diseases, children with diseases. The hospitals are full of children with diseases that need more funding, but let's just make it for hair loss. Where do we draw the line? That's the next question. Where do we draw the line? Is it going to be like, oh, well, now we're going to do hair loss, and now it's going to be like, because it's a matter of survival, then the women are going to jump on board, and they're going to say, well, what about breast augmentation? That's a matter of survival. I feel so ostracized because I just don't look good, or, Brazilian butt lifts, or, we're going to get whole new teeth, and, we're going to get some pec implants, or some bicep implants so I can look, and be more it's a sliding slope that we're getting on. And again, personally, I just don't think it's fiscally responsible, especially with national health insurance, because the people that are going to be getting rich off of this, that are going to getting the most return on their money, are the drug people that treat hair loss. Yeah, imagine that. So that's why I'm just, my little conspiracy brain and flags are just going off. And who's behind this? Who says this? And Lee has been he's been pretty decent. People have been liking him. And then there's other people that have brought up and said, well, he's only doing this to make sure that, he has the public's ear, he can get reelected or whatever it is. I don't know. There's always seems to be this political back and forth thing. But, all of that aside, I really don't think that the hair loss thing is good. It would be a significant rise in cost, because look at how many people are going to need hair loss. And it's kind of like what happens in the United States. If we use that of what happens in the United States, as soon as something is like, oh, there's a treatment for this and insurance is paying for it, premiums go up, treatment costs go up, insurance goes up, and it just keeps going up and up and up and up. And so really, and that goes back to the people in the form of taxes, that taxes need to be raised for something that's just cosmetic. I really just don't get it. I don't know. The insurance fund is projected to swing from a surplus of 463 billion won this year to a deficit in 2026. And I'm not making this up. I mean, look at this right here. This is what it says. They're trying to estimate how big a fiscal impact would be as they begin discussions. The insurance fund is projected to swing from a surplus this year to a deficit in 2026. So, is this really kind of like the best time to say, hey, let's just give everybody hair treatment and it's all covered by insurance? I don't think so. It's just not good. Not good. Let's see, some other stuff we're going to talk about. For those of you who don't, let's get some comments. George pops up and says, Mother of God, just wear a hat. And just call it getting older. Which is funny because you see a lot of politicians that do they dye their hair and they get hair treatments. Of course, they pay for it. They all have money for that. But suddenly the sudden concern over the people and the public, and it's a matter of survival for the Korean people to have hair loss treatment especially when there could be a deficit next year with the health insurance fund. Somebody's not looking at what happened in the United States or other countries when you do stupid. That's all I'm saying. Alrighty, yeah, it's wear a hat. Get a hat, shave it, embrace it. I thought that if I end up losing enough, you get people out there that, they lose the hair and they lose it and they trying to keep it, It's like you come to that place where it's just shave it off. If you just have hair around here and it's super thinning and it's like, you're combing it and dude, there's nothing to comb. The gravity and you have nothing from here up, just cut it off, embrace it. Go for the Yul Brynner look, be hard, be mean, let's bring back this, it's funny how people that don't have hair are often seen as being, oh, well, they can't get dates and this and that. That depends on the person, really. If you've got game, you've got game. But if you have a low self-esteem of yourself, it doesn't matter if you have a full head of hair or you don't. If you don't got game, you ain't playing. That's all there is to it. And it's, what women look for. And now we're going off on a tangent here. I don't know. I think women look for somebody who's a good person, somebody who can provide, and, that will obviously, love them, adore them, support them, and all those things, and have a good interactive relationship with each other and, on numerous different levels. But, the whole thing as far as like saying, hey, well, if he doesn't have hair, that's out. But unfortunately, in the United States, we've gotten to a place of where the women are like, well, if he's not 6'2" or taller, if he doesn't make $500,000 a year, and if he doesn't have, a six-pack and so on and so forth, he ain't worth my time, That's what, and it's like you realize that that's probably only like 1 or 4% of the population of the United States. There's no way these women that have such high standards for the men that they want, when they themselves seem to not have any personal standards, they kind of let themselves go a little bit. That's all I'm saying, just a little bit. That can cause some problems. But when you look in other areas of the world, what you end up seeing is that women want a good man. And it shouldn't be dependent upon, he's bald. Yeah, no, that's a deal killer. That just seems so irresponsible. I just don't get it. I think they're just, cutting their nose to spite their face. George says, there was once a time when you never saw a gentleman without a hat. That is true. That is true. There was that time. Hats used to be a big thing. I remember my grandfather. Vincent Clark was his name. He fought in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. So yeah, it was a thing. But he had his hat, and he was in the Army Air Corps, and then it became the Air Force, and he went the Air Force route. But yeah, wearing the hats was a thing. And matter of fact, I wear a baseball cap, and whenever, like yesterday, we went out and we got something to eat, and we sat down, and even though it was kind of like fast food, it ends up I sat down, I take my hat off, and when I meet somebody, take the hat off. It's kind of a thing. But we just don't do that anymore, and that's kind of a shame, because I think hats were kind of a cool thing. Ferrith says, got to go to the gym. Bald looks best on muscle, or wear a hat. Yeah, it is what it is. But I think we need to come to terms that eventually we're all going to get old. We're all going to age. We're all going to lose some hair. We're going to gain some fat if we don't stay on it. So what you have left is your personality. You strip all that other stuff off because of age or illness, disease, or whatever it is, and you and your spouse are held together by the people that you are on the inside. Anyway, okay, let's get back and we'll talk about some other stuff. Coupang. We're going to talk about Coupang. For those of you who don't know, Coupang is like Amazon. It is a service is almost exactly like Amazon. Matter of fact, the founder and the owner of Coupang is Kim Bom, he's an American. He's a Korean American, but he lives in the United States. He started Coupang, and it's actually an American company. Oh, there's been some problems for Coupang because they hired a Chinese person, not saying that Chinese people are bad, but they hired a Chinese person who absconded with over 33.7 million people's names, addresses, email addresses, contact info, and all of that stuff. It went to China. Yeah. So it's pretty bad. Ferrithus says, what stays is your personality and 3D printing. I totally agree. Just have to impress her with that big sword you printed out. Yes. Yeah. I show my 3D printed stuff to my wife, and she just kind of rolls her eyes, and she's like, but she knows it keeps me out of trouble. So it's all good. All good in the hood. But this Coupang thing, which you can order a bunch of stuff, including 3D printers and all kinds of hobby stuff, which, did I use Coupang for my printer when I purchased my K2 Plus? No, I used Naver. But Naver isn't as good as Coupang. Coupang has the largest variety of products available. Again, think of Amazon. And Coupang, again, the data for 33, almost 34 million users out of a country that has 50 million people. It's data leaked, the whole 9 yards. Information was stolen. Now there's a huge uptick in voice phishing and texting and all kinds of, stuff to separate you from your money. And it all goes back to China. So imagine that. What are the odds? It's daily we are seeing people that are reporting and saying, hey, I'm getting all this stuff. Oh, this is the police department. You need to click this link because, the Coupon data link, we found out that, your account has been affected. Click this link. And it's like, no, don't click the link. Don't click the link. It is not, we don't want to click that link. So the whole thing with this Coupon thing is that now the Korean government has said, hey, this is a serious data leak, and data is very serious here in Korea, especially user data. When you had similar problems with Amazon, the Korean government said, hey, Amazon, Mr. Bezos guy, you need to come over and we're going to have like a congressional hearing type thing. He shows up. There was some other big company. It was Facebook. There was the Facebook dude, the robot looking guy. Korea's like, hey, we got problems. You need to come and he showed up. This guy, Kim, who owns Coupang, nope, I'm an international businessman. I don't have time for that. And so he sent a lackey, a new interim CEO who's only been on the job for like a week or so, doesn't know jack from... let's just go to the article. It's just crazy. So Coupang hearing only fueled public anger. Accountability must follow. This is the guy, Harold Rogers, interim CEO of Coupang, responds to lawmakers' questions as an interpreter translates during hearing. And that's the look of a person right there that realizes that, this job sucks. I am here to get cut on. That is a sacrificial lamb. That is what he is there for. So anyway, talks about this, that the data leak and the whole 9 yards. Lawmakers even raised the possibility of suspending Coupang's operations in Korea, which is huge. Again, it's like almost 34 million accounts on Coupang, including a lot of businesses. Discussions of sanctions, finding ways to use Coupang's dominance across the retail industry has become an urgent task. So anyway, it ends up, despite the leak, Kim Bum-suk, Coupang's chair, refused to appear before the National Assemblies, citing scheduling difficulties at the head of a global company. It's funny because Amazon showed up, Facebook showed up, but he didn't. In his place, newly appointed CEO Harold Rogers attended and struggled to respond to questions due to language barriers and trivialized the proceedings by saying the only Korean word he knew was mother-in-law. Seriously, the hearing did little more than inflame public anger. Yeah, and here's what it talks about. It says Mark Zuckerberg showed up with the Facebook data breach. Jeff Bezos did not evade hearings involving Amazon. Toyota faced a massive recall in 2010, and the then CEO Akio Toyota personally apologized and pledged corrective actions. Rogers, this guy, Rogers remarked that this type of data leak does not violate U.S. law, was especially troubling in the fact that we're in Korea. That a failure to grasp the gravity of the situation. If this attitude persists, the governments would impose strict accountability using every applicable legal framework. And it goes on about, yeah, it's pretty bad. It's not good for Coupang right now. It is definitely not good. And this guy Rogers, who comes in and as the interim CEO, he is the scapegoat, is what it is. And yeah, but Coupang has had other problems in the past as well, because it talks about here, it says that there's workers that have died due to overwork, and the company sought to conceal or downplay the harsh working conditions. The case escalated into legal disputes. Recently disclosed internal message chats have further fueled criticism by suggestive, deceptive responses of Kim at that time. And then they've also found out that because of the data breach, there's internal communications that were brought out where the owner of Coupang basically, data breach, that this wasn't just like a first-time thing. This has been going on for a while, and he's been made aware of things, and the department heads got with him and through emails or whatever else, and it's like, hey, we really need to get on this, and basically he's like, don't talk to me again about this. I don't want to talk to you. And refused to talk to him. In other words, he's a dick. Yeah, he's in it for the money. And unfortunately, he doesn't care that, 34 million people's private information went over to China. And yeah, it's not looking good. Let's see, we got a couple. Sultan pops up and he says, hey, morning, Steve, everyone. It's cold and rainy here in Korea. Yeah, I know. It is a little chilly. And matter of fact, let's take a look and see what we got here for the weather. Here in Pyeongtaek-si, we're looking at 44 degrees, and we're going to be looking at getting some sunrise at 7:40, so we're not there yet. And it looks like it's going to be raining in the morning, cloudy, overcast. It is, yeah, it's going to be a bit chilly. I'm glad I'm retired. And I have underground parking and all of that. Let's see what else we got. Excuse me. Jill Thompson says they should shut down Coupang. There's a lot of people that are saying that. A lot of people are saying that. But the problem is they don't have a company or companies that are ready to step up and replace Coupang. Like I said, there's like 33, almost 34 million users on Coupang, and a lot of those are private citizens, and a staggering amount are businesses. So we're talking about businesses, we're talking about restaurants, when they order stuff and food or product or whatever, all of that stuff is supplied by Coupang. There's no other company that comes even close to what Coupang does. Naver, there's a handful of other delivery services like Amazon-like services, but they are nowhere on the level that Coupang is. If you want more, you'd have to go to Amazon. But there is a huge difference between Coupang and Naver and the other ones. It's just the divide is huge. So yeah, should they shut down Coupang? I think they need to fine the crap out of them. You know, I think it was like 1% to 3% fine or whatever. I think it needs to be even more serious, especially with the Korean laws and everything. And the fact that the owner of Coupang is like kind of blown it off, and we see a history of behavior of where he doesn't care, you know, and tries to cover things up. And we'll get to another thing of which he tried to cover up, and it's fueling the fire even more. So maybe it will. Maybe Coupang will be sent out to pasture, to the glue factory or whatever. Our Melon 327 says, I made that same face at my first internship. Sultan says, I agree. Calling it life and death is borderline hilarious, but Sultan says, if he's talking about research, he's onto something. Medical cosmetics is huge in the industry. If Korea hit a breakthrough in hair loss, the sky's the limit on the money that'll generate. But there's a difference between research. He's not talking about research. He's talking about taxpayer funds for hair loss with the national health insurance. So I don't know. If you have somebody with cancer, or, you know, somebody with a debilitating disease, or diabetics, or this or that, you know, cataracts and blindness, and, you know, children and NICUs and the whole 9 yards, you have all of these other diseases that are life-threatening. I can see spending taxpayer dollars for national health insurance. I just don't see covering hair loss as something that is life-saving, that is necessary. It's, you know, if your hair is thinning and you're going bald, it is what it is. Pay out of your own pocket, or just embrace the Yul Brynner look. That's what I think. But Sultan does bring up an interesting point, is that you might be onto something if Korea, as a government, takes taxpayer money to, and this is a huge, I don't think this will ever happen, but if Korea as a government takes money to fund research to make drugs and things like that can be, you know, wildly successful, and they can make a buttload of money, use that to fund the national health care, reduce the tax burden on the everyday people, and then if you have enough, then then start throwing in, you do some hair loss thing if you want to do that. You know, we're doing really good. We've got some great products, and we're making a ton of money. So we're going to add breast augmentation into the national health care that people won't be responsible for paying, because the investments are making money. But the problem is that's not what's being talked about. So, matter of fact, with like what we talked about prior, is that Korean National Health Insurance fund is looking to be in a deficit next year. So is this really a good time to fund hair loss treatment if it's not life-saving? I don't know. It's just me. It's just me. George says, let's see, what does George say? George, there he is. The thing is, here in the U.S., the box stores have shot themselves in the foot, and we're going in the same direction with mostly online orders only. Yeah, it is definitely a thing. We've gone to this place, and I think there's going to be this jockeying for position, and you're going to have the big movers and shakers, and they're going to be eating up all of these smaller companies that do deliveries. And they're going to try to, you know, corner the market, so to speak. But you're just going to have a handful of companies that will do everything delivery. And Coupang was on the way to do that until this data breach. So they're in reaction mode, and they're trying to figure out, well, how can we? There's a big meeting that's going on, and they're trying to figure out how they can get all these other companies to step up to fill the void if Coupang goes away. And so it wouldn't surprise me to see Coupang and Korea say, you know what, if they come up with a workable solution, that Coupang might go away. I think it's a small chance of that happening, but it might. And that's the thing. Excuse me, George, pop up again here. There he is. Customer service is awful. Security is worse if you're seeing fights in the stores on the news all the time. Customer service is awful. Yeah, big box stores. I mean, I grew up at a time, where after Thanksgiving and, Black Friday sales, you all run to the stores and grab, a bunch of crap from Walmart or whatever, and even stores, long before that, you had the big sales. Everybody would line out outside the malls to get in to get the best Christmas deals and discounts. Now we have discounts online, and all that is being replaced. I remember the wife and I, we would go to Walmart on the Black Friday, and we would go just to see the stupid people. And it was like, I'm serious. We would buy like maybe a DVD. We'd buy one or two things. That would be it. We're not real. But then we would see people with shopping carts, 2 and 3 shopping carts full of crap, all going on the credit card. All going on credit card. And where we lived, yeah, it's Walmart. It's rough Walmarts. And, you're just looking at all these people fighting over TVs and blenders and this and that. And it's just like, seriously, really? That's what you're doing? And you're going into more debt? No wonder people can't retire. Oh, hope that TV that you got a 20% discount on was worth you not retiring, and a lifestyle that you continue to be in debt. I don't know. George says that he hated working in retail. Yeah, I can imagine. Sultan ends up saying, yes, using National Healthcare Fund to cover hair loss treatment is deeply misguided and unjustifiable, methinks. I'm right there with you. I mean, if it was kind of like what you said, that Korea came up with some drug that was like massively successful, sell it as a country to everybody in the world and take that money and use that to lessen the blow on national health care for Koreans and whoever pays Korean national health insurance. Not me, I have my own insurance. But I mean, that would be a way to, actually make things better. It is what it is. So we'll see what happens. That is the continuing story. But the Coupang thing is definitely, and the whole goes deeper on this Coupang thing. Let's take a look at this. This will get you mad. Coupang removes clause exempting it from hacking liability after order from Data Protection Agency. Coupang will scrap a controversial clause in its terms of service that exempts the company from liability for damages caused by hacking or illegal access, following a corrective order from Korea's data protection watchdog. The move, however, is unlikely to silence criticism that the company acted too slowly. Yeah. Coupang announced that it will delete Article 38, Clause 7, which says the company is not responsible for damages caused by hacking or unauthorized access. Again, it's just like, I want to make money, but I don't want to be responsible. It's just like, this little part right here talks about the interim CEO, Harold Rogers, refuses to disclose personal information during the assembly hearing here in Korea. That was quite the interesting thing. I watched that, and they asked, well, what is your email address? Well, I'm not comfortable in giving that information. Okay. What is your phone number? Well, I'm not comfortable in giving that. That's private information. What is your home address? I'm not comfortable. That's private information. I value that. He just walked into it. He just keep walking because I'm going to tag you. Boom! And they tagged him hard. And it's like, and so the person asking the question is, aha, see, you don't want your personal information out in public, but yet Coupang is like, whatever. It's not really a big deal, section heads are talking with the owner of Coupang saying, hey, we got to get on top of this, blah, blah, blah. There's also documentation showing that they spend less on preventing cybersecurity crimes or, than any other company. It's just like, it's a whole fiasco. It is really, and he's like, no, I don't want to hear about it. Don't talk to me again about this stuff. We're not doing that. It's pretty bad. On December 10th, the Personal Information Protection Commission ordered Coupang to revise the clause within 7 days, ruling that it violated Personal Information Protection Act provisions on security obligations and liability of damages. That's a thing here in Korea. Under the law, data controllers are required to implement appropriate security measures and must prove the absence of intent or negligence if user harm occurs due to a breach. So yeah, it's and here's the thing. They ended up saying that it was data exposure. It wasn't a leak, it was exposure. It was no leak, no, just exposure. As if information just flashed on a screen, that is being exposed. Leak is where it's like all that information went into the hands of somebody whose nefarious intent is to fraud, scam. It all went to China. The person who was working had unfettered access. He worked with tokens and verification, and then he quit, and then all this information leaves. So yeah, me thinks that Coupang had some pretty poor procedures. Didn't really, when somebody leaves an organization, they turn off their email account, they no longer have access, they change passwords and this and that so that, that person who left doesn't have access to anything. Obviously, I think there's probably some of that was involved in the Coupang debacle. And Coupang has just been, they've been fighting tooth and nail. It's not a leak, it's an exposure. We're not liable. It's just getting bad. Previously, the company vaguely stated that it followed its own privacy policy, a formulation criticized for leaving the burden of proof unclear in the event of an incident. The revised clause now specifies that personal data handling procedures, standards, and burden of intent or negligence will be addressed in accordance with the Personal Information Protection Act. So yeah, it's In addition, Coupang added a new provision requiring the company to proactively notify users' email, phone calls, text messages if changes to the terms are unfavorable to consumers or deemed significant. And again, it's just this whole Coupang thing is pretty bad. But a lot of people have quit Coupang. There's a lot of people that haven't. There's a lot of people who haven't, and even people that have experienced more phishing and scams and things on their phone of trying to, hey, click this link for this or that, or, this is Coupang or this is your bank, and don't click it, because, if they get access to your phone, your money's gone. And so there's been a huge uptick in these type of cyber crimes since this Coupang debacle has happened. So apparently the owner of Coupang doesn't really care that much. He's just trying to save face and put out a sacrificial lamb of that guy Rogers being the new CEO. It's just not good. Sultan says Coupang's in-shitification actually hurts a bit. I still remember how refreshing their service and customer support felt coming from. And I wish you could type more in the comments. But then if you were able to type a whole ton of stuff, it would fill up the screen. So it's either one or the other. But yeah, it's, the Coupang is pretty good. I mean, their assortment of things that you can purchase and get delivered is unequaled amongst any other Korean company. And so I unfortunately, the owner doesn't give a shit. Sultan continues and says, especially from another place where delivery logistics were basically a joke at best, it made Coupang feel like a miracle in comparison, which is absolutely true. Even if you compare Naver with Coupang, Coupang wins out. There's times that I've ordered stuff off of Naver, I got to get my personal customs code, which people who live in Korea have to have, visa holders or citizens, Korean citizens. You have to have a personal customs code, and ordering off a neighbor, even though it's in the order and you put that information in there, the company would, I don't know, they'd mess up the numbers, they'd mess up the names, they put the name in the wrong order, or have the wrong PCC for the people. It was just horrible. But Coupang, I don't think I've ever had a problem with Coupang as far as the PCC information and ordering and all of that stuff. Most of the problems have been with Naver. I can't remember a Coupang problem. That says a lot. Because we bought everything here in Korea. We didn't ship anything. We showed up with a couple of suitcases and that was it. So yeah, there's going to be some big shoes to fill here in Korea with Coupang. So we'll keep abreast of that and see what goes on. Yeah, do you do a lot of online shopping? Do you hate it? Do you love it? I'd like to know what you all think. And then as I'm sipping my hazelnut latte, I'll give you a chance to hit the like button on this video. That's so good. I've got another mug that is battery. It's a heated mug, has a rechargeable battery. And I really like it, but I wish there was one like this, like a big one, to keep it heated. But I think on my streams, I'm going to have to start using my heated mug. That is so nice. It keeps everything. You got 3 temperature levels. Everything works out good. The next thing we're going to talk about, Finnish Eye slant. Oh, this is a good one because this didn't fare. If you thought Coupang was bad, let's get into some more stuff. It is quite the interesting thing going on. I don't know. Is racism bad? I'm just asking for a friend. Is racism bad? Probably. Yeah, probably is. It depends on the context. I think I love watching comedy. I like stand-up comedians and things like that. I really enjoy it. I like laughing. Life's too short to not laugh. And with that, there's a lot of comedians that will do kind of racist information, but it's all jokes. And I feel if you can't laugh about yourself or other people, yeah, something's wrong. And with that, comedians can get really, really edgy. But they're comedians. The thing is, it's jokes. It's all jokes. And I appreciate the jokes. But then there's that small, thin line between racism and jokes. And when you go into the doing stupid level of racism, and that gets out into the world, oh, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. So we're going to talk about this Finnish Eye slant. Now, let's just do an example here. A little experiment. If I do this, what does that tell you? What comes to your mind when I do that? I kind of know if I saw somebody doing that, the first thing that pops into my mind is somebody is mimicking a person who is of Asian descent. Somebody who has the slanted eyes, eyes don't open very much, slanted. That's kind of what the first thing that comes to my mind. Miss Finland had this slanted eye thing, and yeah, it didn't go well. She, I don't know. She left her brain at the door. Let's take a look at this. It ends up. Finnish leader apologizes to Korea, China, and Japan. So it wasn't just Korea. It's pretty much, if you're Asian, we are apologizing following the outrage of Miss Finland's slanted eye post. See, there it is. And here's the thing. Miss Finland, Sarah Zafas, said in a viral photo that she was eating with the Chinese when posting the slanted eyes. Yeah. We got a comment. It comes to mind, childish, immature. Jill Thompson. Yeah, it seems like that would be something a child would do, but even then, I don't see children doing that a lot. But I totally agree. It's childish, immature. So here we have Miss Finland, beauty queen extraordinaire, and she goes out to eat Chinese food, and she does this. It's like, and she posted it. So she might be beautiful, but I think she's dumb as a bag of hammers. It's just, the elevator doesn't go all the way to the top. I think it stopped at the boob job or whatever. Finland's Prime Minister, Petteri Orpo, issued an official apology to Korea, China, and Japan. There's going to be some other countries that are going to be mad because they were mentioned, like Philippines or, some other Asians. Mongols, whatever. Following controversy over Miss Finland's winner's derogatory gesture towards Asians and subsequent actions by far-right Finnish politicians defending her. Ooh, seriously? Politicians were defending her? Oh. Jill says that I read some Finnish politicians in support of her did the same gesture? You gotta be kidding me. They're politicians. Their elevator doesn't go to the top, obviously. The Finnish embassy in Seoul published an apology in Korean on its official social media channel under Orpo's name Wednesday. So, Che-gun ilpu guk e won ne SNS Keshi-galro inhe pul guacam ul durin jome deha jin shim muro. I'm not going to read it because my Korean is horrible. I mean, I can read it, but my vocabulary. Racism and all forms of discrimination is never acceptable in Finnish society. The Finnish government takes racism very seriously and fully committed to combating it. He added that Finland always strives to be a better society and politicians have a responsibility to lead by example. Unfortunately, not all politicians have that responsibility, as Jill pointed out. Noting that parliamentary group leaders had discussed lawmakers' conduct and jointly and strongly condemned the insulting and inappropriate behavior. The statement also posted on Finnish embassy social media accounts in China and Japan as their respective languages, but not elsewhere in Asia. So yeah, they probably should have just made it all Asian. All Asian countries, we are going to make an apology to every single the Hmongs, H-M-O-N-G, which are a people. They're Asian, but they have no actual home country. It's kind of like around Vietnam or whatever, the Hmong people. I don't know. If it was me, I would find every Asian nation and language and publish an apology and condemn what was done by Miss Finland. Because we don't need that type. And here's the reason. Koreans, Asians as a whole, will remember that. And they will, oh, you don't like us? Oh, I guess we won't go on vacation. Tourism is going to go down for Finland. I can guarantee it on the Korean side of the house. And probably for Japan and China as well, because, it is a little rough. Yeah, it's not going to be good. Crazy. So anyway, the 2025 Miss Finland title holder, Sarah, was photographed pulling back her eyes with both hands during the meal. The image on social media with the caption, "Eating with a Chinese person, so-called slant eye gestures widely regarded as racist caricature of Asians." Yes, Miss Finland organization stripped her of her crown. Yeah, take the crown, it's gone. Some people said that was too much. That seriously, it was just, yeah, it's pretty bad. And then there was also some things to hear that she ended up trying to say that, well, I had a migraine and so this makes the headache better. And then just stop. That's not how this works. When you have a headache, you don't do this and smile. And then type in a caption that says eating with a Chinese person. I can understand this if you have a migraine and you're like, oh, or you're dealing with stupid people, which is kind of the same with her. Yeah, seriously. You imagine the Finnish leader, the president of Finland, is probably going like, oh, seriously. Yeah, that's what's going on. It's going to be absolutely crazy. So I don't know. But yeah, she tried to backpedal and make excuses and say, well, I was having a migraine, and so that's what I do to make the migraine go away, supposedly. And yeah, that's not how that happens. George ends up saying international party foul. Yes, big foul, red card. Jill says, you can read Korean. Yes, I can read Korean, but I should know way more than what I do. I can read, but again, my vocabulary is small, and yeah, it is what it is. I don't know. It is what it is. Ferrithus pops back in and says she had everything and threw it all away. Yes, she did. But here's, I don't know. Here's something. So if you do this as a non-Asian person, and that's a racist caricature of a white person or of an Asian person, then what do Asians do to characterize racistly the white people? Did they go like this? I don't know. Do they ever get close? There's actually a video of that. Oh, let me see this. Let me see if I can find this. Asian, because this is so funny. It is so funny. If you know what I'm talking about, Asian guy makes round eye gesture. Let me see if I can find it. And I saw it on social media, and the dude pops up. It was hilarious, but it's maybe it's under Asian guy pretends to be white. Maybe that's it. Oh, I think this might be it. I think this is actually it.
Hey, Bobby.
I think this is it here. Yeah. We'll take a look at this. Is hilarious. This is so funny. I loved it. So here it is. Let me make sure we got volume. So we all know that doing this and bringing your eyes back is racist to Asians. What do Asians do? Check this out.
Hey, Bobby. Look. I'm American. I think I'll use my credit card. Do you guys have anything non-dairy? Anything gluten-free?
That is hilarious. You gotta admit that's pretty funny. Look, I'm an American. I think I'll pay for with my credit card. Do you have anything non-dairy? Gluten? That is hilarious. It's okay. This is going to sound strange. It's okay to have jokes and laugh at each other. It is. I was in the U.S. military for over 20 years, and I've been overseas. I've worked with other countries in their military, and of different races and creeds, and the whole 9 yards. And it is amazing the jokes that you hear and see and do, and you're able to laugh at yourself. You're able to laugh with others. You can laugh at yourself. It is just a good thing. But when, again, there's that thin line that Miss Finland or Miss X Finland ran into of it's the context that matters. But yeah, she definitely saw that it's just not the thing to do. So it is. We got Dankvid. Hello from Los Angeles. Why, hello. Steve from Korea. Welcome to the show. We're talking about how Miss Finland did the little eye thing, and yeah, it backfired on her. And she said, "Oh no, I was just a headache, and I do that to relieve my headache." And even though the caption on the photo that I put out said "eating with Chinese person," yeah, it didn't fare well. She lost her crown. I guess the president, Finland has a president or prime minister, whoever, the leader of Finland ended up apologizing to Korea, China, and Japan. And yeah, it's just not good. I mean, kind of like doing blackface. You just don't do blackface. Oh, what was the thing on the, was it, I think it was Dave Chappelle. Was it Dave Chappelle? No, it was the other guy. Let me see if I can find that, because that is hilarious. Who did that? Andrew Schultz. Blackface in the military. If you get a chance to check out a funny video, he's kind of a rough comedian, but here he is. And I'm not going to play the video because I don't know if that'll do a copyright thing or not. Blackface in the military. It is hilarious. But it's so true. It kind of, the end result is it depends on context. And if you go watch the video, it is hilarious. And being in the military, it totally makes sense because it's just funny. But yeah, when you go to the restaurant, you say you're eating Chinese and you do the slant thing and you post it saying eating with a Chinese person, it's not really good. I mean, I don't know. How stupid you got to be to do that and post that? She posted that on social media. It's not like she did it and somebody was like, oh, somebody from the next table over clicked the picture and then posted that of her doing that. No, she got the picture. She put in eating with a Chinese person and then posted it on her socials. Yeah, again, the elevator doesn't go all the way to the top. So it was kind of hilarious. Yeah, that was kind of odd. Very, very odd. I think what we'll do is we'll kind of transition over as to letting some people know that I am retired here in Korea. So there's that. We sold everything in the United States, lock, stock, barrel, everything in the kitchen junk drawer. We showed up with a couple of suitcases. And yeah, we live in Korea. And since I don't work anymore, we are retired in Korea. Which brings to the point. I had somebody tell me that, let me see if I can find that. Oh, there it is. There it is. And I'm going to do a poll because I want to know on what you think about this. And maybe, can I make that bigger? Sorry, I'm doing the technical difficulty thing here. Trying to figure out how to do. This was an interesting comment. And this was on a video that I did. And we're going to pop this. We're going to do it there. Let me do this. I want to go back to this here. So this is the comment. Tayrid5419 ended up leaving this comment, and let's see if we can make this a little bit bigger. It says, you don't live in Korea. You live next to an American military base, not all the same. That's an interesting comment. And I think part of the situation is like, well, it ends up that you live, I guess the insinuation is because we moved to Korea, and because I live next to a U.S. military base, and there's times when I go on the military base, go to the gym or the commissary or whatever, maybe the food court, that somehow I'm not really living in Korea. That I'm not. You see what I'm saying? It's like you don't live in Korea. You live next to an American military base. Not at all the same. Well, let me ask you all, because let's play a game. Let's like a kind of like a game show type of thing. You figure up in the back that you got a board with a bunch of categories and stuff like this, and the name of the game show is "Do You Live in Korea?" So that's the game show we're going to be playing, and I'm going to go over some information I left for this person on the video of which video was it? It was from 18 December. It was a RIK video that I did, and it's suing husband, dissolving churches, trans college. Immigrant raid and abusing ROK visas. So in that video, of course, we ranted and went off topic and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been over 3 years since I've been here in Korea. And this Taerid 5419 says you don't live in Korea. You live next to an American military base, not all the same. I can kind of get that, but according to the Korean government, I don't know. I live here legally and literally live in Korea. So we're going to go over some things. And we'll let you be the judge of whether I live in Korea or not. So in the game show, we're going to be talking about, do I live in Korea? And this is going to be an interesting little game show. I know, it's silly. It is. I told my wife about this comment, about you don't really live in Korea, you live next to an American military base, it's not all the same. Yeah, it's not, the elephant in the room. I'm an American citizen. Obviously, I'm not the same as a Korean citizen, so yeah, it's not all the same. I have access to the U.S. military base because I'm retired military. Most Koreans don't have access to the U.S. military base, unless I escort visitors on there or they work on there. So, I don't know, some people it's the same. Some Koreans have access to the military base, but I understand. Let's not get into details. Details don't matter because it's not the same. So what does really living mean? And so that's where this game show comes into play. Here in Korea it ends up that, let me see if I can make this dun, dun, so that I can read it. We're going to be looking at some information. The game show where the host ends up saying, hey, we're playing Do You Live in Korea? And ask me the question, where do you live? Well, I live in an apartment that I bought here in Korea. I don't know. So do I live in Korea? We're going to take all these things that me and my wife do, who my wife has Korean ancestry. We have a visa. She has F4. I have F1. So legally, we're here in Korea, living, authorized, vetted to live in Korea. That's just one part of it. I bought our apartment. So yeah, I bought the apartment that we are living in here, and we live in the apartment. We live in the apartment here in Korea. So there's that. Let's see, the other thing it ends up, we have Korean insurance for the apartment. So we have that. Since we also have our visas, the other thing that we end up having is we have Korean bank accounts, which you can't get a Korean bank account unless you have an authorized visa from the Korean government. So yeah, we've got Korean bank accounts. We use the Korean ATM machines for deposits, withdrawals, paying some bills. Did you know you could pay bills at an ATM here in Korea? Like car registration or some other stuff, you put in your bill and boom, you can pay it right there at the ATM machine. Incredible. I think how to do that in the United States. We have Korean cell phones. We have Korean cell phone service, which it's Korean cell phone service. So the other question we could ask on this, do you pay bills, Korean bills, in Korea? And the answer is yes, I pay bills in Korea. We shop online with Neighbor and Coupang, which we were just talking about, and the wife does some shopping on some other apps. Oh, let's see. How do we live in Korea? Do you shop in any open air Korean markets? The answer is yes. So yes, we shop at the open air Korean markets, and that's where we get the majority of our fresh vegetables from local vendors, as do a lot of other Koreans and American expats and other people along with Koreans frequent the Korean open air markets, and we pay with won at these Korean markets. We use the Korean mail service. I have an address to my apartment, and we get things sent to our apartment through Korean mail, so there's that. Some people have insinuated that, no, you don't really live in Korea because you use the medical facilities on post, and it's like, nope. We go to the Korean hospitals. We go to the Korean medical clinics. For some of the medications, we go to Korean pharmacies, and just like Koreans do, and other nationalities that live here in Korea. So we got that. Do you live in Korea? The question is, do you use public transportation? Yes, we do. We've taken Korean buses, taken Korean taxis. We just went to Samsung Medical Center in Seoul, so that was a taxi, a train, bus. We've done all of that in Korean. We use Korean barber shops and beauty shops, like Koreans, and other people who live here do that too. So another question would be, do you pay Korean property tax? Well, I bought the apartment, so guess what? I'm responsible for paying the Korean property tax, which is about $250 a year, which is significantly less than what we paid in the United States. The other question is, do you live in Korea? Do you pay Korean utilities? I don't know. There's a lot of American service members and their families that they pay for their utilities. They'll pay it to a management company and they pay the utilities. But for me, no, we pay our utilities directly. So it comes out of our Korean bank accounts. Apparently, do you have Korean driver's license? Yes, we have Korean driver's license. So kind of like what Koreans do. It's kind of the same. We use the Korean high-pass toll system. So in other words, when you're driving and then they have toll roads and you have this high-pass system which has money on it, and as you drive through the toll, it automatically deducts it from the balance that you have, and boom, yeah, like Koreans do. Kind of odd how that happens. We bought our Korean car using a Korean car buying app here in Korea. Like a lot of Koreans do. And it's a Korean car. So we didn't ship a car or anything, for that matter, over here to Korea. It's kind of a thing. With that being said, do you live in Korea? Do you have Korean car insurance? Yes, I have Korean car insurance. And I don't have Korean car insurance from an American company here in Korea. I have Korean car insurance from a Korean company, Korean insurance company. And matter of fact, we just had recently, a little while ago, because we don't drive as much because we're retired, we got a discount on our Korean insurance, our driving insurance. It's like $95 or so. It used to be, $110. Let's see, what about, because some people will end up saying, well, you don't really live in Korea because you take your car on post and you get the oil changes and get it fixed there on post. The answer to that is no. We use Korean mechanics off post to change oil, do maintenance, get tires, the whole 9 yards. We don't go on post for any car maintenance. It's almost like we live in Korea. Some people, here's the other question is, where do you get your glass? I bet you get your glasses from on post. You don't really live in Korea. Unfortunately, these here came from a Korean optical shop with a Korean optical doctor, obstetrician or whatever, I don't know, whatever. The eye doctor in Korean went and got the eye test. And in a Korean optical shop, buy a Korean optical doctor person thing, and they made the glasses in record time, and it cost us a lot less than what it was in the United States. And it's funny because other Koreans use the same optical shop. We have Korean water filter service for our apartment that we pay every quarter, kind of like what Koreans do. We chat on Kakao Talk with Chat with Family. So for those of you who don't know, it's kind of like Messenger or some type of chatting app. That is what most people who live in Korea or Koreans themselves use. When we go out to eat, we mainly go to Korean restaurants, so there's that. When we shop, we go to traders. We go to a lot of Korean stores. Like I said, the open air Korean market, so we do that. We go to AK Plaza. We go to Korean malls. We go to Daiso. We go to, the wife goes to Uniqlo, and I go to Uniqlo too, but they don't have my size, but I go there. But apparently I still don't live in Korea because maybe I shipped a bunch of furniture over here, and so I don't really live in Korea. No, we came with a couple of suitcases. We bought all of our furniture, all of our appliances, everything that you see in the background, including my 3D printer, desk, chair, computer, everything was bought in Korea. So all that, plates, cups, bowls, metal chopsticks. And here's the ultimate test to know if you live in Korea or not. Can you use metal chopsticks? I can pick up individual grains of rice with metal chopsticks. I don't know. To me, it seems like I'm living in Korea. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. And here's something else, is because, you get people on social media, you get people on YouTube that are like, they pretend to be retired in a country, like, retire in Vietnam, and then they give you a breakdown of all the expenses in Vietnam and say, this is a great place to retire. But the problem is they're kind of fudging it, okay? I'm not saying they're fudging the numbers, but they're fudging the fact that there's no retirement visa in Vietnam. So it's kind of like, you got to be careful what you say there. When you say that you can retire in Vietnam, legally, Vietnam doesn't have a retirement visa. So it is what it is. It's just you're abusing the tourist visa, and you have to do border runs every 60 or 90 days or 30 days or whatever. That's not legal. So I don't think those people that are retired in Vietnam are really retired and living in Vietnam. They're on a tourist visa and they're abusing that. So with that being said, am I abusing the tourist visa to stay in Korea? Do I do border runs or visa runs every 90 days? No. We have appropriate long-term visas that are good for a few years, and we renew them. Let's see, what else do we got going on? Everything we own is here in Korea. And, kind of going back to the YouTube thing, there was people that said, hey, we sold everything and we went to retire in the Philippines, and then they end up, and they do it all for clicks and views, and they say, well, something happened and it didn't work out, so we came back to the United States. And it's like, they didn't sell everything, because when you see their future videos of them after they returned from, they sold everything, they retired in the Philippines, and then they went back to the United States, it's like, well, wait a second, that's the same truck that you had that you supposedly sold. I'm seeing the pictures, all the stuff that you had in your house before, and then you sold everything, and then you retired in a foreign country, and then suddenly you came back because of something, you didn't like it or whatever. Another bunch of bullshit. There's no hot water in the Philippines. I could do a whole video on this couple. So anyway, that pissed me off. But I mean, they have the exact same stuff that they had in their house now as they did before when they sold everything. So what I'm saying is like some people have things in the United States and they say, well, I'm retired in this country or that country, when really all they're doing is taking a long vacation. and trying to do clicks and views and, kind of try to, cover up the fact that it's like, we're not really retiring overseas. The question is, for me, do I have any property in the United States? No. I don't have a house in the United States. I have no residence in the United States. This is my legal residence. I don't have like a second, this isn't like our second home, and we have a primary residence in the United States. We have no property in the United States. This is it. This is, everything we own is here. So do I live in Korea? I don't know. Now, have I ever hid the fact that I live close to a military base? Absolutely not. I don't. Matter of fact, I go on to that it's a great benefit for us to live next to the military base because I get to go to the gym, we get to use the commissary, the PX, they got a little food court thing, We feel more comfortable on a military base because that's what I did for my career. So my wife and I are used to the military, so being on a military base makes us feel at home. But if we were in the United States, we didn't feel like we really fit. And when we're here in Korea and we're not on the military base, we don't really feel like we fit. But then again, we're retired, so we're different than most Koreans that are still working. We're not the same. So when we're on a military base, we do have some comfort in that. But I've never hid that fact. So I don't know why that would be a disqualification of living near a military base disqualifies us from living in Korea. Now, it's, maybe the thing is, and what I put in my comment is, let me copy this and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So this person that left a comment, I left all these things that we just talked about. And here's what I ended up saying. In other words, our decision to live in Korea was and is not based solely because there is a U.S. military base. My wife's family, who are Koreans, imagine that, who are Koreans, live in this area, and we wanted to spend more time with them before they got too old and passed away. Living in Korea also allows us to travel to other Asian countries that we want to vacation in. Expenses are half of what we're paying in the U.S. Being near a military base is a bonus, but not the sole reason we retired and live in Korea. I hope this clears things up, and I apologize if I didn't communicate this more clearly in the past. So would you care to explain more so I can see things from your perspective? Not really sure why you think we don't live in Korea. We've been here just over 3 years now and have no plans of leaving anytime soon. Look forward to hearing from this person and seeing what they said. But there's another interesting thing is that this comment that I left, which is this right here, which will pretty much clarify and put to bed this whole thing about the military base, and I'm only here because of the military base. So here it is. Perhaps this can clear things up a bit more. Even if all the U.S. military bases closed down and all the soldiers went back to the U.S. tomorrow, we would continue to stay and live in Korea. So, I don't know who this person is. I take a look at their, they just have a channel, but they don't have any content. There's no, about me or anything. They joined in 2021 to YouTube. Tae D is the person's name. I don't know what nationality or who they are or anything like that. I'm assuming they're a good person, but I just kind of don't get this thing about, you don't live in Korea. It's not the same. Is it just because I'm in the proximity of the military base? Is there like a distance that if I'm within this distance or less or closer to a military base, that I'm disqualified from living in Korea? Or let's say if I'm an hour away from a military base, then I'm living in Korea? Is that how it works? I really don't understand the whole point of this. With that being said, I mean, what about, let's reverse it. Let's say you have Koreans that come from Korea and go to the United States, and they live in Koreatown with Korean street names and Korean stores and Korean restaurants and Korean housing and the whole night. Everybody's Korean. Would I say they don't really live in the United States? No, because they're in the United States and they're paying rent, they're paying bills. I don't care that they're in a community that is nothing but Koreans or whatever nationality. They are living in the United States. Now, are things a little bit more westernized in the area that we live in? Is it a little bit more diverse because of the military, their families and contractors and, UN soldiers and from different countries, including Korea, a lot of Korean soldiers here as well. There's a lot of diversity here. So does that diversity negate living in Korea in some way, shape, or form? I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. Obviously, Tae D, this person that left the comment, thinks so, because I'm not sure why. Maybe I really don't understand. It's what is living in, what is Tae D's definition of living in Korea? That's what I would like to know. How do you define that? And there's Koreans who live next to the U.S. military base. Are they not living in Korea as well because they live close to a military? What about the Korean Americans that served in the U.S. military and then they retired and did the same thing that I did? They're still American service, still American citizens, but they came under the Korean F1 and F4 visa and they're retired here in Korea and they live in an apartment. They do all the same things that Korean citizens do. They live close to the U.S. military base. Are they not living in Korea? But they're of Korean descent? Is that the qualifier then? Is it the race? Or is it just the military base in itself? I really just don't understand. That just seemed like an odd question. I told my wife, and I said, yeah, we don't live in Korea. And I told her about the comment and showed it and everything, and she's just like shaking her head. She's like, sweetie, we live in Korea. And I said, I know. It's just, I'm just trying to understand why somebody would say that, because it doesn't make sense to me. Maybe living in Korea, when you're living in another country, you're totally dependent upon that country and you're not getting any assistance from any type of Western civilization. Maybe I'm seen as not living in Korea because of that. That doesn't make sense. To me anyway. I don't know. It's just odd. Just an odd observation. So I really hope they ask the question. Like I said, the majority of the stuff that we do is in Korea. Restaurants, stores, bills, banks, the whole nine yards. Maybe they're under this assumption that, well, we live close to U.S. military base, so we have a bunch of U.S. military friends or, Westerners that come visit us. And it's like, no, that's not it either. The majority of the people that come to visit us are the wife's family, and they're all Koreans. So they're all Korean citizens. And we have like one couple that have been to our place, and yeah, one couple. That's it. So the majority of people that have been in our apartment are Koreans. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Let's get back to some comments. Ferris was on here. He talks about, all right, real Korean Steve, I'm headed home, enjoy your day. And he also said it sounded silly. Yeah, it is silly. George says that's like saying that living next to Fort Campbell means that you don't live in Tennessee. That's true. And what is it, Highway 41, that they're constantly, when I was there, it was constantly under construction. Ferrithus talks about $260 a year. That's 40 times less than what he pays in New York on a fixer-upper in regards to property tax. I know. My property tax in the U.S., it's over $3,000 a year now. And I was in southern Colorado. Ferrithus says, I'm going to cry. I'm going to go cry now. Good seeing you, Steve. Take care. Yeah, good seeing you, if he's still around. Yeah, I guess it just goes to show that somebody will always complain. Somebody will always complain, no matter what you do. I mean, I own nothing in the United States, zip zero. I have an American bank account. But, you know, it's, oh, you don't live in Korea. Apartment, car, house, medical, all of that stuff is, you know, the majority of my medications I get at Korean pharmacies. There's one medication that I get from the military pharmacy because it's free. And the military pharmacy does not have all the other medications that I need, so I have to get those at a Korean pharmacy. So, I don't know, maybe that disqualifies me. But even then, even if I had to pay for that medication, it's drastically less than what it is in the United States. So I really just don't understand the whole deal behind that. Yeah, so I don't know, you make the decision. Do I live in Korea? Do I live in Korea? I mean, that is the thing. That is the, where is that? Oh, we don't even have that anymore. I threw it away. Sorry about that. The comment of, you know, it's not the same. What is being the same? Is it being a Korean citizen that I'm not really living in Korea? Or is it just a blanket statement of you don't really live in Korea because of what? Again, it's that question. It's not that it bothers me, but I'm just trying to think, how does that go into somebody's mind and say, well, it's not the same? There's Koreans that I know that live differently than other Koreans here in Korea. You have some people that engage and use technology to the fullest. You know, there's Koreans that I know that don't have a cell phone, don't have a car. You know, do they live in Korea? I'm just not tracking on that. It's just not tracking on that. Yeah. So apparently, I don't know, according to one person, I don't live in Korea, even though everything I have is in Korea. Okay, so anyway, that's what we got going on for that. The other thing that we have that we're going to talk about was the last little thing, because we did the hair loss thing, talking about how the president of Korea presently wants to treat hair loss under the national health insurance thing, and a bunch of people are like, no, that's not fiscally responsible because we have children with cancer and other things, more life-threatening diseases that need to be treated and funded instead of hair loss, which some people, no matter how much medication you give them, will their hair's not going to grow. It's not a survival thing. You know, it's just do the Yul Brynner thing. We talked about Coupang. We did that. We talked about the Finnish Eye slant debacle with Miss Finland and how she got dethroned by doing that whole thing. And then, yeah, we talked about some other stuff and how apparently I don't live in Korea, even though I think I do live in Korea. We did that. And now the Frostmourne Sword. This is interesting because we take a look at this here. There are the parts and the pieces of the sword. So we did that. That is all printed out on my Creality K2 Plus, and so I think what we're going to end up doing is we'll go over to the desk there. So we're going to go to the paint station. And we're going to go to this one right there. Boom. So we're going to take this, and we're going to see if I can see myself. So we got that little, you can see me wave my hand. Hey! The lighting's not real good, but it is what it is, so we'll take a look at that. We'll see if we can do a little bit of gluing and putting together this Frostmourne Sword. So, we'll go over here, and what I can end up doing is we will check out the, here it is. So I can do the live stream, I can watch that, and so I can kind of take a look at some of the comments. I wish it was bigger, and I think you can see me, hopefully. We're gonna have to call that good. So let me see. Did a little adjustment, and there's some lag time between the videos, so I'm trying to watch on the tablet to see if I got a good frame for my face in that top left corner. We'll see what happens. I think that's good enough. I'm adjusting it, I'm doing that. I think it'll work. Okay, so anyway, this Frostmourne Sword is quite the interesting thing because I'm starting to get more into the cosplay props and, of course, doing some decorations. And I've done some other stuff like printing out models, things like that. I've done miniatures and resin. This was FDM printed. Did some resin printed stuff. This was actually done on, knocking over all kinds of stuff. Just a little helmet that I ended up doing there of Doomslayer, just kind of messing around. And then eventually we're going to be doing some large scale cosplay stuff because that's on my bucket list, is do some cosplay. So with a real big, impressive looking thing. So here is, and let's see if we can get a little bit more light. So this is printed out at a 0.2 layer height, and it came out pretty good. This was in 2 pieces. I split this in half to give it a little bit more strength. And so we had glued this together, and I did the same thing on the handle here. So this was normally 1 full piece, and it would be printed in this orientation. And so, but with that, there wouldn't be a lot of strength. So I cut it in half in the slicer and then glued it all. So it is definitely there. So we got some pieces and parts that we're going to put together on this thing. And we see this is going to be really good. I wish it was bigger. Kind of like what some people say. Size does matter. It's not as big as the Crimson Sword that I ended up doing, but yeah, I really wished it was bigger. I guess I was spoiled by the big one. Because once you go big, anything smaller is like, I don't know, it's a little bit depressing. But this is still it's still a cool looking sword. So, yeah. So what we're going to end up doing is we'll throw a little bit of super glue on here. And the printing on this came out really well. So I really enjoyed it. The K2 Plus has been a good printer for me. I'm in the market for another printer because when I start doing some large cosplay armor stuff, it won't take as long. So we're just going to do a little bit of super glue, throw that in there, and we'll be good on that. And again, this is the stuff that keeps me out of trouble. So it's kind of a good thing. So besides going to the gym, reading, listening to music, and doing coffee and all that kind of stuff there, I really dig doing this stuff. I dig the painting. I taught myself how to paint. Thank you, YouTube, for all the people that did videos and showing how to paint. And you know, I did little miniature characters, kind of like that ends up that just really small. And I found out the larger the character, the easier it is to paint. And so I started doing larger models. And then with resin printing, and then I got into 3D printing and doing, you know, like I said, some larger dudes that we have like this. This is FDM printed as well. And one thing led to another, and next thing you know, I ended up printing out a helmet that I still need to work on. So here's the helmet for the Doomslayer. It still needs processing. Did a little bit. I need to sand that stuff, but this is going to be a pretty cool little endeavor. And then we also did a number of Borderlands. We did some Borderlands helmets. So check, if you're interested in that stuff, check out the videos, playlists and stuff like that for the hobby stuff. And it shows that I've done like search for Borderlands. And that has been a pretty cool little thing that we ended up doing there. So, but this Frostmourne Sword came out pretty good. This isn't from Nico Industries. And I really like Nico Industries because they do some good stuff. And the sword I did before was by SAR W10 on Maker World. And that was a really good sword. And I think he does a Frostmourne sword, but this one is same sword, but I like the way that he does his swords better as far as build and construction and stuff like that, and how it puts together and the stability of this thing. So, and it's got some areas that need some sanding or whatever, but I think this is just going to end up, we'll do like silver, the skeleton and the bones and stuff like that, like the horns. We have some horns that are going to end up, we'll paint that with a bone type texture. And this is how this is supposed to go, like that for the hilt. So I guess we'll go ahead and we'll glue these up. So yeah, the goal is to eventually one day get a big cosplay armor thing going on. And again, like I said, let's just do this just once. I wish I had some activator. So that way I could glue this and then spray the activator and then it would be set. Because the way it is now, it doesn't immediately set, so I got to be careful. So I don't know if we'll get to gluing everything together. We'll see how it goes. Again, that's some of this stuff fits good. Like this one, yeah, this is like super loose. So I'm not sure how this is going to work. See how it's, yeah. Again, it'd be so nice to have the activator spray because you could glue it, spray the activator, and boom, you're good to go, and you could do the other stuff. See what I mean? It's like, damn it, Jim. And what I could do, the other thing I could end up doing is I could get a soldering iron and I could kind of go around there and do that. But I think, how are we going to do this? Because if I do that, I need to rest it against something to keep that upright. Oops. You know, that bottom part is going to be, yeah, that's not going to work either. Seriously, how are we going to do this? Maybe some rubber bands, maybe? Because that is just not... We could jerry rig it with some rubber bands or tape. We could do that too. This is just not sticking. It's not curing fast enough. What do we end up doing? We got any new comments? No, we don't. Okay. Tape. Let's try, I don't know, maybe do a rubber band. We can see if we can get a, seriously. Okay, that is not going to work. And I just put my hand in the super glue. I didn't think this through. I thought this would fit together better, but apparently not. So we got tension going that way. Now if we can get tension, seriously. Now that's going to come off, that's going to come off. Okay, and that's going to come off. Seriously. Let's see, is this going to work? Okay, that works a little bit. No, I'll leave that off. Okay, so we got that. I tell you, I like that the other sword that I did, the tolerances were real tight. But maybe this will, if I can just get that one in there and just keep this together like that. Or not. Now, how can we do this? Is that going to work? No, that's probably not going to work. Okay. And we got super glue. That's always a joy. So that'll be, we won't get all this together. So shapes and colors, that's how that goes. That is going to go there. So let's go with what we know. These have got some good, and the way this sword was made was some dovetail joints, which is good. Have to fill in the gaps and everything. But I really like the way the other sword that we did, how that came out. And I'd really like to get some activator. Super glue with activator, but it's hard to find in Korea. It is hard. So there's that. Excuse me. Get a little hungry. So yeah, we got a few gaps in there that we'll have to fill in. But I do like how there's enough damage on the sword that it kind of hides the seams on this a little bit. I mean, you can still see it, but with the damage on the sword and everything, I think that really helps with that. So, okay, so that's how this one goes. Shapes and colors. That's what it is, shapes and colors. Or maybe there's another, I think that's part of the other obstacle you face doing cosplay and stuff here in Korea is that you don't have access to a lot of materials that you would have that is readily available in the United States. So it is very, very different. So yeah, the blade on this, that's not too big, really. That's really not that big. And by the time you add on the other piece, that part, which is big, and then the handle, I think it ends up, let's do a little, we got a tape measure. So this ends up in 26 inches. And if it's 26, it comes out to 35. And then if we do another, so it's about 42 inches long is what this will end up being overall. But the blade, that's not long at all. Like I said, that's like 26 inches for the blade, and which is infinitely smaller than the other sword. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here in comparison, because this is the other sword. So yeah, if we just compare the blades on it, if you can see that, yeah, it's definitely small. I like this big one. Once you go big, it's hard to go back. But this one turned out really, really good. So did some little extra paint and detail, put some red on some of the inside there so break up some of the black, and black on the red to break up some of the red. Yeah, this is a monster sword. So that's kind of what I was hoping for, but it wasn't. So yeah, it is what it is. And I'm wondering, I think we can glue this part onto there, if I dare. Let's give it a shot. So I don't really want to do two parts. I have to make two videos. Some people send me some messages asking me how I like the Creality K2 Plus. It's been a great printer. I had a few problems with the CFS. Like one of the slots I've had problems with, but overall, especially since I'm just doing cosplay stuff, I don't do a lot of multi-material printing, and like for this stuff, I end up buying, is that the right? Seriously. Wilson, what are you doing? Like, seriously. I wonder if I should just try to tape this. Let's try taping it. Maybe that'll help. That kind of went off kilter. I got some tape here. Let's see if we can do some tape action. And I really wish I had activator, but I can't get it here in Korea because they won't ship it from Amazon to Korea. So how are we going to do this? It might be worth just getting out the soldering iron. You know what, maybe I'll do that. Because if I solder it and melt the plastic, it'd be good to go. because this tape thing is probably not gonna, it is not gonna work because it's still gapping. Rubber band works a bit, but it's got tension and it's drawn it to one side more. Yeah, I think a soldering iron. So now the question is, with a soldering iron, do I have a plug? I do have a crayon outlet there. I might be able to do this. Now the other question is the cable on the soldering iron long enough that I can do that? I'll be right back. So much fun. Alrighty. Into the spare room. And we'll see if we can get the soldering iron. I don't know. Ooh, it's a small cord. That is maybe a meter. That is definitely not going to be big enough or long enough, because that is barely, maybe. We'll see if we can drape this over. Let's see. It is a nice print. Yeah, it's a nice print. I like it. I should have scaled it up some more. Oh yeah, it's heating up. I should have scaled it up some more. And that way it would be a little bit bigger, a little bit more impressive. But with that, I think we're going to end up just kind of soldering this and melting a little bit of plastic. And if we can do that, then we can get it. I'll just do the little welding. Put it in an area where I can okay, we'll take it off if you insist. At least we can get as a yeah, this is working. Yeah, this is actually working out good. We're able to melt that. Nice, nice. I think this will work out good. So yeah, that worked out good. Not bad. So let's continue on. We'll do the same thing on this side. And let's see if we can get this lined up. And George says, the size of the model was smaller than it appeared. Frostmourne from the World of Warcraft is huge. Yeah. And it might be because the model I got, it was small. I did size it up, but it's still going to be a cool sword. I definitely like it. But the cool thing with 3D printing is I can always make more. I think we're good. Besides the smell of, I guess we can do a little bit of soldering on this. This turns out good. Yeah. Nice. Besides the smell of PLA and super glue. But the other thing that I was thinking about doing was getting a, oh yeah, that'd be nice. It works. Alrighty. That looks a lot better. Okay. So, if we're going to do that, let's go ahead and we'll do this. And have that lined up. Let's go ahead and we'll weld this on there. Oh, you know what I should do? Let's put some super glue in there. I'll do that too. So that way we get the best of both worlds. But I've got another project that I want to end up doing. As if there wasn't enough projects to do. But I saw a Warhammer axe that I think that's going to be my next one. That's going to be a big one. So I think that'll turn out really good. Okay. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now, I think we can throw this on there. Pretty good. Just do a little bit of welding on this part. The other one didn't have as much ornate work or damage, so painting this is going to be really cool. So yeah, I mean, it's got some layer lines and holes. I don't know how big I'll get into priming this, patching, but we'll definitely make it look decent. That comes out pretty good. So yeah, that'll hang nicely. Yeah, I think that'll turn out good. Good. And the only thing that's going to be interesting is these areas with where the super glue's at. So we got to do a little bit of support. You know what? I've got these things, these clamps. If only I had clamps, as I'm like looking at the clamp that is right in front of me. Oh, if only I had clamps, I could clamp it. Okay, there it is. So we will let that rest. And we'll see how that goes. And we'll go back to our desk. Yeah. So yeah, so that was a simpler version of a simpler version that I wish I had gotten from Sarwatwin. So, but anyway, let's redo some comments. George talks about I may do Glimley's double axe. Yes, the Celtic carving is good. Not Gimli from Lord of the Rings. I have his in metal. That would be wild. Metal. And it is a heavy bugger. I imagine that would be heavy. You know, looking back, let's take a look and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. This is that one from Sarwatwin. So Sarwatwin, however you pronounce his name, that was the sword that you see in the background there. He did that one, the Crimson Sword, and he did this one too. And so I downloaded the sword, but it's not the one that he did. So his has a lot more parts, and kind of like the Crimson Sword, the way that it ends up, the way you end up putting it together, I really, really like that. So I'm kind of, I don't know, I had a moment of insanity to where I was like, oh, look at all these parts, and oh, that's a different part, and that's a different part, and you got to put all these parts, and look at all these little tiny parts, and you got to do all that, and then there's this and that, and I was just like put off by the number of parts. But in reality, this would be a much better one to do. And look at that, it's got connectors on there. His last sword, the sword that I did on that one, the connections were all tight, tolerances were real good. You know, he's got squares on there, cubes. Again, the whole way that he does, I just wish there was more damage on the sword like we have on the one there. So if we take a look at the paint station, and you can end up seeing how the sword has all the details. Let me see if I can pull this up. So we can kind of zoom in here a little bit. So you can see the sword has a lot more damage all along the sword. So it can hide a lot of those things, you know, the joining and stuff like that. But with this one, he's got some runes on it, which is good, but it's just not, there's just not enough damage on it. I wish there was more, because then that helps hide some of the joinery there. And the base, I'm not going to do the base. I thought about that, and it's like, where would I put it? I just don't have room. I'm going to be hanging this stuff on the wall. So, yeah. So I definitely, in hindsight, I would go back and do the sword with Sarwatwin and use his instead of doing this other one that had minimal parts. It still looks good. I think I also printed at 0.2 layer height, so next time I'll do it at a 0.16, so that way have less post-processing to do, and then that's what I did with the big sword there. So yeah, that's what we're gonna end up doing. Oh, I want to show you the big one that I want to do. Where is it? Taxes, coupon, Vietnam, Pet G, blah 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 blah. No, that's not it. Or is it this one? Might be this page here. Let me take a look, see. Yep, here it is. I found it. So here is, now I've got a couple of things that I want to end up doing. So let's take a look at this and I'll show you what we're talking about. So on Maker World, you have this Omniscion Axe cosplay by Riserem, and he's got some things, but look at that. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a close-up. So this is a Warhammer one, and you can take a look at that, and look, it's got, you know, the eagle on the top, the skull, you know, kind of the biomech thing that we got going on. Kind of got like a pipe fitter's wrench and the blade. That looks pretty good. And that's a good, I mean, for scale, that's going to be a big one there. That one looks really good. So you can see some of the details on that. That looks like a really good one. And so that comes in a number of pieces. We'll see how that goes. Let's see, some of the other things, 39 inches long. So that's 3 feet 3 inches, which is a pretty good size. That looks good. It says weighs 1.5 kilos, about 3.3 pounds, most of which is the head, held together by a system of clips. Glued together with wood glue, everything is stable enough to swing. A small part of the plate where the skull is should be glued in, blah, blah, blah. S-clips are joining two identical parts of models without, okay, whatever. And then some people do some, ooh, look at that. That looks good, doesn't it? Ooh, that looks good. That looks good. That is pretty good. I like that. So yeah, and with that, I was looking at that and I was like, you know what? Might even be able to take that. And let me see. Let's see if we can get to a bigger size of that. Nothing like the smell of burnt PLA. But to get some LED lights, which I do have some LED lights, and be able to put something within the head and perhaps down on the teeth or something, you know, have some glowing areas coming out the eyes, the nostril, around this area here with some red, or, you know, if the skull is going to be skeleton bone color, then maybe like a red coming out the nose, and maybe the eyes and around this little mechanical part there and down below the teeth. I think that would be really cool. And then maybe even, you know, some in that area there to have some red coming out. That would look really cool. So I don't know, but there's that. So there's that one there. And then the other one is this axe by Pokey George. And this is a pretty good looking axe. It's a little small, so I definitely want to scale that up. I mean, if you look at his hand and everything, I mean, that is a small size axe. But it's a decent size axe there. I would definitely make it bigger. Scale it up some more. So he split it in half. Yeah. Kind of, I don't know. So those are the pieces. I don't know if I'd do it that way, but Where's the full thing? So yeah, we got that. We got that. Use some hexes and whatever. And that's the full axe there. So that's a pretty decent looking axe there. So if the decision, so the choices that we have are the hammer, the Warhammer axe there, or this just regular kind of Celtic, not so Warhammer axe. It's still a cool looking axe. I definitely like it. You could do an awesome paint job on this. It's definitely smaller, but you could make it bigger. So made it from picture to printers, made with STL, the help of a program, and divided it for better printing. There's somebody that did that. So yeah, it's a decent size. It's definitely a small axe. I would want it bigger. I would definitely make it bigger. That's for sure. But heck, I might just do both of those. Yeah, I would scale that up bigger. Still pretty cool axe. So I don't know. The question is, with that axe, let's see, we got some others. Out of all the axes that I looked at, this one was pretty good for that one there, for just axe. And then, of course, the Warhammer one. Which the Warhammer one, I mean, that looks pretty dang good. And it's big. So I think I'm going to be doing that one. We'll see. Matter of fact, I was playing around and we'll take a look at this. So I put everything on the plate. Of course, everything is made with 256 cubed. So I was able to, they had like 12 plates or something like that. And with this one, and I could probably make it into 3 plates, but I wanted there to be enough room. I like having a little bit of a boundary around the edge of the plate and the area. I might even take some of these connectors and move them over to here. But yeah, maybe I'll do that. Just to spread the wealth. Seriously? Really? And I guess there's a new addition to, or a new firmware to, seriously? Come on now. New firmware update to the K2 Plus. So we'll slice all this up again and we'll see how this goes. But I've already got this plated and everything, and I think it's going to take a day. It's about 5 to 8 hours per plate, somewhere around there. 3 walls, 8% infill density with any adaptive cubic, and we're looking at let's see, no, I don't want that, I want this. So we're looking at a total of about 870 grams, 1 day, 2 hours and 15 minutes. So it'll cost me $17.38. So shouldn't be too bad. Shouldn't be too bad. So there's plate 1. There's plate 2. Isn't too bad. There's 3. I think the longest one is like 8 hours. 9 hours and 10 minutes. And that's because of the handles and stuff. And I was thinking about maybe splitting these handles. I don't know. Tell me what y'all think. We'll see what happens. Ferrith says, putting you on my ears, still have a million things to do before we fly to Germany for the holidays tomorrow. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Going to Germany for the holidays. Awesome. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, get going. Pack light, I guess. I don't know. Hey, when you get to Germany, tell us when you get back or when you're there, whenever you have time. I don't want to impose on your holiday time or whatever. But at some point in time, tell us what is the real deal going on with, I see a lot of stuff on social media about Germany and about immigrants and the button heads and all this stuff. A lot of that stuff I see online about Germany and other parts of Europe as well, UK and other countries. But yeah, I'd be interested in to see what you see, and if you see that there's problems with that, or is it just much ado about nothing, or is it something to be concerned about? That's always something. It's if you have a group of people immigrating to your country and they don't want to assimilate and they want to do things that essentially push out the citizens of that country, or kind of the whole I'm offended so don't do this, and then you can't fly your own flag, or whatever, can't walk your dog. It's just, I'd like to see what are the boots on the ground, and how is that actually happening? Is it a problem? That would be an interesting conversation to have. I mean, I'm all for immigration. My family immigrated from Europe to the United States, but we assimilated. But yeah, so that's what it's going to look like. It's going to look like, 26 hours of printing. And it won't take that long, because what I'll end up doing after we get the first few layers in, and we'll bump it up to 125%. So we'll probably knock off, on a 6-8 hour plate, probably knock off maybe 45 minutes, something like that. So yeah, I think what I'll end up doing is do the axe, the Warhammer axe. And that'll be pretty good. I think that'll be a fun one. So, but with that, got to work on that beast over there and get that done. And then I still have models that I need to paint over there that I was going to do with speed paints. So we got that going on too. No shortage of projects. And this makes me wonder, I want to get another printer, but if I get another printer, I'm printing stuff faster. Will that just add to my pile of shame and backlog me in, stuff and projects, kind of like the miniatures that I have over here that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 shelves worth of stuff I need to paint, not counting the stuff I need to paint over there. I don't know. Or, little thing that I ended up doing here, the painting on that needs to be done, and little Viking frame thing that I did that needs to be painted. Man, just so many things to do. Thank goodness I'm retired. I couldn't imagine trying to do this and working full time. I definitely wouldn't get as much done as I do now. So, so that's what we got going on. Some fun stuff. I did maintenance on my K2 Plus. I did the full maintenance on everything, cleaned all the rails and lead screws and the whole 9 yards, and re-greased everything, blew everything out, wiped down everything, so that should be good to go. So looking forward to that. What do we got going on? Nope. Somebody congratulated me for hitting like 325,000 views. That's cool. AirPod sale, AirPod 3s. Oh, okay. That's what that is. All right. Advertisement. So somebody's advertising, hoping that I would use their service because I hit 325,000 views on YouTube. Lifetime views. So yeah, we're getting up there. The other thing that I ended up doing is I got a media kit that you could download from YouTube. And, okay, no, don't want to do that. So I got a media kit that you can download your own media kit. And basically all it is shows the stats. Let me see if I can find it. And what you can end up doing is you can send this out to companies. And so I'll do an email campaign, message campaign, and I will offer my services to review products or whatever it is. And I send them this little PDF. I did a graphic, but so this is a downloaded media kit that I got off of YouTube, this PDF, and it shows the number of subscribers, which is over 51,000, published videos, lifetime, unique views, watch time, average duration, percentage viewed, return viewers, demographics and all this stuff, audience, blah, 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 and age, male, female, whatever. 91.4% male, 8.6% female, mostly United States and other places. But what I ended up doing is taking that and then making this into a media kit like here, where I give some information, just some key channel stats, demo, all of that stuff, picture of my smiling face or whatever. So hopefully something like that, and I can attach it to the emails and send it to companies. I've already sent out a number of these, so we'll see what happens with that. It'll be an interesting little thing there. You know, little media kit, little page, just trying to get some exposure and like to do some reviews on some products. You know, mainly 3D printers. I'm going to send out. I got to start looking for some laser engraving companies, and I'll send this out and see what happens. So I don't know. Keep the fingers crossed, and we'll see how that goes. I did contact a few other YouTubers, and how that, you know, there's people that got like, one guy had like less than 1,000 subscribers, and the company said to him, some 3D printing company, I can't remember, I mean, send him printers to check out. And I'm like, good Lord, I've got over 51,000. So I messaged a few people, and a couple of them referenced and said, hey, this media kit thing is what they ended up doing. So yeah, I'm trying to get with the times. Old dog trying to learn new tricks, and we'll see how that happens. But yeah, I think we'll end up doing that. And hopefully, I don't know if living in Korea, I think I live in Korea, but I'm wondering if living in Korea will be an obstacle, because I know the majority of people that do reviews are in the United States or the UK. I think there are some people in Australia and stuff like that. But I don't see a lot of people in Korea doing reviews of products for like 3D printers and stuff. It's very few compared to what we do in the United States and westernized countries. So hopefully, and I'm sure some of that has to do with the language barrier. But with everything being able to be translated on the fly, you know, from Korean to English and vice versa, you could do subtitles and closed captions and all that. I don't know. Hopefully I can get into that. Or I'm wondering if I can find a way to take what I say and do it in Korean. I could learn Korean. Yeah, I know. But my Korean is horrible. That would take forever. But to do a video and then translate it. Of course, YouTube already does that, don't they? Let's see. No, that's the... Dun, 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 dun. Like, let's see what happens. I wonder if we go to my channel, we'll take a look at it. We'll see. We'll just pick out a video, and let's check this out. And we'll wait till after
Ralph's Shopper?
Commercials. And more commercials. So I'm waiting for the YouTube to not do the commercial things. And then we'll take a look-see. See how this goes. Okay, so here's my video on making that 3D Viking picture frame thing that I added a bunch. If we go down here, video actions, Close captions. Auto-generated. Click for settings. So audio track, we could do English, Japanese. It doesn't have preferred language settings. Add languages. Because that would definitely help if I actually had Korean as an option. HIJ. Okay, Korean. Okay, confirm. We'll add that. We'll go back to this.
Alrighty, we are back.
Now we'll go to this, and then we'll go to audio track. And it doesn't have Korean on there. Audio track. It has Japanese. Let's see what it does in Japanese.
さあ、戻ってきました。ご覧の通り、完成したものがこちらです。これは前回の動画で加工したモデルです。とても楽しかったです。モデルを2つ用意しました。1つは青色のフレームで、プリンタブルズかコルツか何かの無料ファイルです。フレームを検索して無料のものを見つけたら、あっという間に。
Okay, that's kind of cool. But I want it to be in Korean. That's Japanese, Polish, Portuguese. Preferred languages and settings. I thought I did that. Preferred languages. Playback info, add or edit languages. Well, let's see. What other languages can we do? Chinese. We'll do Chinese. China, Hong Kong. Simplified. Singapore, Taiwan. Traditional. Let's just go for them. See what happens. And then we'll do, of course, English. English United States. I don't know. French? Nah, we don't want to do French. German. Let's do German. Mr. Ferritus. And Germany, German. Germany, German. German and Germany, German. Switzerland, German. We'll just stick with the German, German. And let's see, what other countries do we have? Italian, we do Japanese, we can do that. Korean, we did that. Latin, Lithuanian, Maltese. There's so many things that you don't even know that were actual languages. It's like, what? Pashto? Romanian, Serb, Slovenian, Spanish. Let's throw some Spanish from Mexico and Spain and the United States. Tagalog. We'll do that for the Philippines. I'm just kind of picking out some things that, Vietnamese, why not? Okay, so let's confirm. Language settings updated. Always show captions. We'll just leave that the way that is. And then we'll go back here. And maybe it takes a minute for it to redo. So we'll see what languages we have available. Avatar, new Avatar came out. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
戻ってきました。ご覧の通り、完成したものがこちらです。これは前回の動画で加工したモデルです。とても楽しかったです。モデルを2
Doesn't
つ
have the
用
other
意しました。
languages.
1つは青
It's
色
got
のフレー
German.
ムで、
Eine kostenlose Datei von Printables oder Calls oder so. Ich habe einfach nach Rahmen gesucht und etwas Kostenloses gefunden und zack, war's da. Dann habe ich das Modell von Ivor genommen, den 32 mm STL, den wir hatten. Wir haben ihn genommen, ihn in Scheiben geschnitten und die beiden irgendwie zusammengefügt und zusammengebaut, als wir beides in Crazy Print ausgewählt hatten. Und dann haben wir ihn in Scheiben geschnitten und zack,
Okay.
und ausgedruckt.
Let's try French.
Parce que l'impression vient de se terminer. Venez donc avec moi dans la grotte et nous allons faire un peu de peinture. Mais pas
Hindi.
माफ करे, लेकिन ये हमारा मॉडल है। और अगर आप सोच रहे हैं तो इसमें 4 घंटे और 25 मिनट लगे. क्या negara?
Indonesian.
Jadi kita siap melakukannya. Kita menggunakan hyperpel bukan hyperpel tapi polymaker pel. Dan ini dia.
Italian.
Questo è un po' grezzo. Abbiamo tagliato a fette e abbiamo messo insieme i due modelli e li abbiamo assemblati.
That's pretty wild.
Entrambi i componenti selezionati.
Portuguese, Spanish,
E poi
Ukrainian.
li abbiamo tagliato a fette
Doesn't show up in Korean now.
e stampato. Printed out. So what we're going to end up doing.
Okay, so interesting. But yeah, so that was something that I was considering on doing was, playing around with that. Interesting that it doesn't pop up in Korean though. That is, I would have thought since I live in Korea, or maybe I don't live in Korea. Yeah, interesting. We'll see how that goes. Subtitles, auto translate. Let's see if it goes to, can we get Korean? Korean for subtitles.
We're going to take a look because it just finished printing. So come with me into the cave. And we're doing some painting, but forgive the noise. But there is our model.
Cool. Okay. Interesting. But yeah, that's something that I always wondered about that as far as like Korean, because since I am here in Korea, I was wondering why I wasn't getting a lot of engagement here in Korea. So I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't have Korean language or something. I don't know. That is just odd. Just seems different. What does that button do? I don't know. Interesting. So I can get a lot of different language options, but Korea isn't one of them. Oh man, I did chest and back yesterday. Oh good Lord, and I did a new back exercise, and it just like I'm pulling the cable over this way, like the cable's overhead, and then coming down, and it's just really cranking onto that lat. Yeah, I'm starting to feel that. I think I'm going to continue on with that. That was a good exercise. Oh, good Lord. So anyway, yeah, that's what we got going on. Now I'm just kind of ranting and whatever. It is now 9:19 a.m. here in Korea. We've been at this for about 3 hours, and I'm starting to get hangry, so you know what that means. Yeah, it's time to probably close out this video, and I know what you're thinking. No. Wait. You don't want me to stop, but I have to stop. So it is what it is. People have to eat, and it's Saturday here in Korea. So we're doing that. We went to Marketplace a couple days ago, so we did that. Our daughter's on call, so she's going to be busy. We might be able to have lunch with her, I'm not sure. But I think the wife and I will end up going, and we'll go to Le Pain, which is a little bistro breakfast place that they have across the street from where we live. They got some good American-style breakfast, because, I don't know, I don't live in Korea, apparently. Maybe that's why I'm not considered living in Korea, is because I go have an American breakfast every once in a while. It's just a running joke. But yeah, that is going to be it. Hey, we got Sparky pops up here. Sparky says hello. Hey, good to see you. It just almost missed you. Almost missed you. Just kind of ranting, and we're closing up the video here. So we went over a number of things that you can see up there that we talked about. So we did that. And I don't know, is there anything that you all would have recommendations for videos or topics, being retired in Korea, or do you want to see more hobby 3D printing, assembling, painting stuff? Let me know in the comment section down below for that. If you have any ideas on how to get sponsored by companies to do product reviews, send me an email, because I would like to learn how to do that to get my foot in the door. I think I could do some objective reviews on products and things like that. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Ned Vendiv, hey, Ned Vendiv pops in, says, hey, have a great weekend. You as well, along with everybody else. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's the next thing I'm going to end up doing, is trying to secure, hopefully, and do some product reviews. And, you know, product reviews, all the reviews that I've done, except for the laser engraver, that was sent to me. I've been pretty honest on those things. And it's, you know, I still have the laser engraver. I do it every once in a while, not so much because it was like a Barney Basic. It's like the cheapest laser engraver you can get on Amazon. Yeah, it's probably not something I would use as a hobbyist, but I made that known in the videos. But I think I could do some good videos, you know, unboxing, first prints, going over the specs and everything, and doing a bunch of prints to see how it works. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be able to do that, and I'll get some bites. I sent a bunch of emails to a number of companies, so we'll see what happens. But regardless, I think eventually I'll end up getting another printer. Whether it's another K2 Plus, or maybe a Prusa Core 1L, or maybe Snapmaker will come out with a bigger Snapmaker, you know, with a large build area. That might be worth doing. We'll see how it goes. Ned Vendiv talks about review ultrasonic cutter for the future. That's a great idea. I've been looking at those. Good Lord, those are expensive. Those are crazy expensive. So if anybody knows of somebody that's selling ultrasonic cutters, or cutters, you know, cut through plastic like butter and all that stuff that you see that aren't that expensive, shoot me an email and let me know. Send me a message, put it in the comment section. That's a good idea. I'll start sending out some media kits and emails to some companies that do ultrasonic cutters, because there are some things I'd like to do with that. And I want to buy one of those, but man, they're just expensive. So I would rather review one and find out if it's good or not. And if it's not, I would definitely want to let people know. But if they are good, then I think that's a win-win. So, yeah, it's just, I don't know, this whole review thing, doing reviews on YouTube. I see people doing reviews that, you know, I see products and it's like, yeah, they're getting paid to do the review or do the video on the product. And then as soon as like the Kickstarter's over or whatever, you never see them use that product ever again. Case in point, the Airy 1 X400 printer, you know, they gave printers out to some big video, you know, YouTubers. They did their reviews and said, oh, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and then you never see them use it again. And then as soon as the Kickstarter was over, it's like, mum's the word. And even though that X400 is out, and they had a huge number of cancellations. It's probably the most cancellations I've seen on Kickstarter, number of people who canceled. So that makes you wonder, are people just not into that? Or did they pretend and they ordered and then they pulled their orders just prior to the end of the Kickstarter to try to drum up hype? I don't know. It's the Airy 1 is just, I don't know. It's weird because you can do a review or a video on a product, and of course you have to say that you're doing that you were supplied the product or you were paid. You have to do that according to YouTube. I'm sure some people don't, or they kind of stretch the truth. I'm not being paid to do this review, or some people are getting paid and they're not telling you that they're getting paid. They're just saying, oh, I got sent the printer. There are a couple of companies that contacted me that said, hey, you do a video, you need to give us a good review. And it's like, that's not how it works. I do a video. If the product lives up to its claims, I let people know. And if it doesn't, I'll work with you and say, hey, and if it can't be fixed, then I let people know. And then these are some not so well-known Chinese companies, but they're like, no, that's not what we're doing here. And it's like, well, that's how I do things. So sorry, that's not how it works. So I never heard from them again. And a number of Chinese companies, not that Chinese companies are essentially all problematic or are not, some Chinese companies they just want good videos, regardless of whether the product is good or not. And those are very few. I'll say that. But a lot of laser engraving companies, no-name laser engraving companies have contacted me, and it's like, look at their products, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do an honest review. And when I tell them that, they're like, no, well then we want to pay you for a good video, pay for a good review. And it's like, yeah, that's not how that works. That bugs the shit out of me. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But the ultrasonic cutter, thanks for the good idea, Inventive, on that. That is definitely something I will forward my media kit. Woohoo! I get a media kit to some companies and see if maybe I can get some reviews on that, because I think those work. I've seen a number of people use them, and I think it just I don't think there would be a problem with doing that. We'll see how it goes. I think that's it. I think that's what we got going on. So we finished up doing our videos. Let me see if we can get back to, that's the desktop. That's what we want. That's the page that we want. So we finished talking about all this stuff and a bunch of others. We did the sword. Hopefully it'll all glue and stay in place, and that'll be a continuing project that we got going on there. And with that said, what we'll end up doing is the obligatory outro. Email address, email me, say hi, what you're doing, whatever it is. Love to hear from you. The best thing that you all can do is like the video and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. If you want to buy me a coffee, these people bought me coffee. There's nobody over here. There's people over here that bought me coffee. If you want to do that, that's cool. But really, it's been a while since anybody's bought me a coffee. I think last week somebody bought me one. But I'm just really pushing for the likes and the subs to the channel. So that would be the best thing that you can do. And again, shoot me an email. I always answer it within 1 or 2 days, and I'd love to hear what you all think. Whether it's being retired in Korea, hobby stuff, whatever, current events. I enjoy being around good people like you. So, all right, we'll let you go, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.